work on something that is much bigger than yourself. So check your ego at the door.
Oh, he looks so good. Sorry guys, just give me a second. It's the longest video I've watched of him. Just give me a second.
That's what you signed up for?
You know, well, no, I didn't sign up for anything. I just married the love of my life.
The lack of emotion and the lack of drive that is coming out of Turning Point USA to figure out who killed him. That's what their reaction is. Like, they came to, okay, this is so unnatural, the reaction of these individuals who were so close to him, that the more logical, sensible conclusion is that they actually know where Charlie is and he's perfectly alive. Yeah, that is how absurd they are acting. Just move on. Just don't Turning Point USA. This is what Charlie would want. And that's his legacy.
We just nickname her like the Israeli Widowmaker. Like, at this point, can we just start going with that fucking nickname? I think that's gonna stick. The Israeli Widowmaker, Mrs. Erika Kirk. What do you guys think? Can we make that one stick? I wanna know what your best nickname for Erika Kirk would be. This bitch is fucking nuts. And I don't know about you guys, but Ian was right. Fucking weird, right? Who the fuck says that? Do you guys read Ian's tweet? He goes, I hope if I die, my wife waits a little bit longer before she says.
When Erika Kirk sat down for her first real interview since the tragedy, no one expected what would come next. The world had seen her as the picture of composure, always smiling, always poised, always saying the right thing. But in a single quietly delivered sentence, Erika changed everything. Healing begins when you stop pretending. The words were simple, but their impact was seismic. Suddenly, the perfect image the public had clung to began to crack, and a new, more complicated story started to emerge. For months, Erika Kirk had been at the center of a storm. After the shocking loss of her husband, Charlie Kirk, she stepped into the spotlight as the new leader of Turning Point USA. The transition was swift, almost too smooth, and it left many people asking questions. Who was Erika Kirk, really? Was she the grieving widow, the ambitious CEO, or something else entirely? Rumors swirled about her background, her family's mysterious connections, and her uncanny ability to stay calm under pressure. Some even whispered that she knew more than she let on. Inside the organization, the atmosphere shifted the moment Erika took charge. Staffers noticed new faces, people with no social media presence, no LinkedIn, no public history. Jokes about spooks and secret agents started to circulate, half in jest, half in genuine suspicion. Digging into Erika's family background only fueled the fire. Her mother's work with a major Israeli defense firm, her father's expertise in intelligence integration, and Erika's own offhand comments about knowing things by morning thanks to her connections. Was it all bravado, or was there something real behind the smile? But it wasn't just the office that felt different. The public, too, began to sense that the story they'd been told was only part of the truth. Erika's interview was the first time she hinted at the weight she'd been carrying. She didn't name names or point fingers, but she spoke of truths that have never been shared, and the cost of keeping up appearances. For many, it was the confirmation they'd been waiting for. The perfect love story, the flawless public image, had always been a facade. The reaction was immediate and intense. Some viewers felt empathy, seeing in Erika's words the pain of someone who had been alone long before the world realized it. Others were skeptical, wondering if her tears, appearing on camera for the first time, were genuine or calculated. Was this a moment of real vulnerability, or just another performance? The debate raged online, with every frame of the interview analyzed for hidden meaning. Meanwhile, Erika's rise to power at Turning Point USA was impossible to ignore. The organization's funding, influence, and media reach soared under her leadership. Merchandise bearing Charlie's face sold in record numbers, and the brand became more powerful than ever. For some, this was a testament to Erika's strength and vision. For others, it raised uncomfortable questions. Was this all just a well-timed opportunity, or had it been part of a plan all along? As the story unfolded, one thing became clear: Erika Kirk was no longer just retelling Charlie's story, she was rewriting it. Her admission, subtle as it was, forced everyone to look back at the timeline with new eyes. The smiles at public events, the carefully chosen words, the calm in the face of chaos, all of it now seemed less like strength and more like the practiced composure of someone who had been living with secrets for a long time. And so the question lingered: what was Erika Kirk really hiding behind that smile? Was her confession a first step toward healing, or just another layer in a story that's far from over? As the world watched, One thing was certain, nothing would ever look the same again. As Erika's words echoed across the internet, the public's perception of her began to shift. For so long, she had been seen as the unbreakable widow, the woman who stood tall at memorials and boardrooms alike, never letting her mask slip. But now, with a single sentence, she had invited the world to look closer. And what people saw was not just a leader, but a woman who had been living with a private pain, hidden behind a carefully constructed smile. Inside Turning Point USA, the atmosphere grew even more tense. Staffers whispered about the new hires, people who seemed to appear out of nowhere, who kept to themselves, who never talked about their pasts. The office, once buzzing with open conversation, now felt wired and watchful. Slack channels went quiet. Meetings became shorter, more formal. Some employees joked that the walls had ears, but others weren't laughing. The sense of paranoia was real. Rumors about Erika's background only intensified. Her mother's work with Israeli defense technology, her father's expertise in intelligence, and Erika's own cryptic comments about knowing things by morning all became fodder for speculation. Was she really as connected as she claimed? Or was it all part of the mystique she had built around herself? The truth was hard to pin down, but the effect was undeniable. Erika Kirk was now seen as someone who knew more than she let on, someone who might be playing a much bigger game. The public, too, began to re-examine everything they thought they knew. Old videos of Erika and Charlie were replayed, not for the love story, but for the subtle signs of distance. The way they stood apart at events, the brief, almost formal smiles, the lack of warmth in their interactions. What once looked like the busyness of two high-powered people now seemed like the quiet loneliness of a marriage that had lost its spark. And then there were the tears. For the first time, Erika was seen crying on camera. Some viewers were moved, seeing it as a long-overdue release of grief. Others were skeptical, wondering if the tears were real or just another calculated move. Maybe she studied acting, one commenter joked, while another replied, or maybe she's just been holding it in for too long. The debate was fierce, but one thing was clear: Erika's image as the unflappable widow was gone, replaced by something far more complex. The conversation soon turned to the question of transparency. Erika had always been comfortable in front of cameras, inviting them into her most private moments, even the funeral. But now, she was calling for more cameras, more scrutiny, more sunlight. "Sunlight is the best disinfectant," she said, echoing a phrase often used by those who believe in radical transparency. But was this a genuine call for openness, or a way to control the narrative? Critics pointed out that Turning Point USA, under Erika's leadership, had become more secretive than ever, using advanced technology to track and analyze its supporters, while keeping its own inner workings hidden from view. As the debate raged, Erika's confession began to change the way people looked at the entire story. The perfect marriage, the flawless public image, the seamless transition of power, all of it now seemed less like fate and more like a carefully managed performance. The question was no longer whether Erika was hiding something, but how much she had already revealed without anyone noticing. And then, there was the silence of Charlie Kirk's parents. In the months since his death, they had said nothing, no interviews, no statements, not even a thank you to the public. Their absence became its own kind of statement, a refusal to participate in the version of the story that was being told. Some saw it as a sign of deep grief, others as a quiet protest against the way their son's legacy was being rewritten. As Erika's admission continued to ripple through the public consciousness, the story became less about blame and more about the search for truth. Was Erika a victim of circumstance, a master strategist, or simply a woman trying to survive in a world that demanded perfection? The answer, it seemed, was all of the above. As the days passed, Erika Kirk's confession continued to echo, not just in the media but in the hearts of those who had followed her story from the beginning. The world had watched her stand in the spotlight, always composed, always in control. Now, for the first time, people saw the cracks in the armor, a glimpse of the real person behind the public image. And with that glimpse came a flood of new questions. The silence of Charlie Kirk's parents became even more pronounced. Their absence at memorials, their refusal to speak to the press, and their decision to avoid public events all took on new meaning. Was it grief, or was it a quiet form of resistance? Some believed they were simply protecting their privacy, refusing to let their son's memory be shaped by a narrative they didn't control. Others wondered if their silence was a subtle protest, a way of signaling that the story being told was not the whole truth. Meanwhile, Erika's every move was scrutinized. Her calmness at public events, her carefully chosen words, and her ability to maintain composure in the face of relentless speculation all became part of the ongoing debate. Was she truly at peace, or was she simply well prepared for a moment she knew would come? Theories abounded, but the truth remained elusive. What became clear was that Erika's admission had changed the way people viewed not just her, but the entire story. The perfect marriage, the seamless transition of power, the flawless public image, all of it now seemed more complicated, more human, and more real. The public began to understand that behind every smile, there is a story, and behind every story, there are secrets that may never be fully revealed. As the narrative shifted, so did the public's expectations. No longer content with easy answers, people began to look for the nuances, the contradictions, and the moments of vulnerability that made Erika's story resonate. They saw her not just as a symbol of strength, but as a person who had endured loneliness, loss, and the pressure to be perfect. In her confession, they found a reflection of their own struggles, the need to appear strong when feeling weak, the desire to heal while still hurting, and the courage it takes to finally stop pretending. For Erika, the journey was far from over. Her role as the leader of Turning Point USA, her relationship with Charlie's legacy, and her place in the public eye would continue to be tested. But in speaking her truth, however quietly, she had taken the first step toward a new chapter, one defined not by perfection, but by authenticity. And for the public, Erika's story became a reminder that the truth is rarely simple. It is layered, messy, and often hidden behind the smiles we show the world. Sometimes, it takes just one honest admission to change everything. As the dust settles, one question remains. Has Erika Kirk finally revealed the truth behind her smile, or is there still more to the story waiting to be uncovered? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, her words have changed the way we see her, and perhaps the way we see ourselves. If you want to keep following the real stories behind the headlines, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Here at Spotlight Vault, we're committed to bringing you the truth, the context, and the voices that matter. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe Erika's confession, or do you think there's more to the story? Until next time, stay curious, stay thoughtful, and never stop looking for the truth behind the smile.